Bills Mafia, let's talk. This team is working day and night to keep improving, to sharpen up, and to bring home the results that this fan base deserves. And even though we're just a couple of weeks into the NFL season, the grind is real and the stakes are already sky high. That's why today's update is so important. But before we get into it, do me a quick favor. Smash that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and if you love staying on top of every Bills headline, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into what's going on in Orchard Park, because the Bills' injury report ahead of Week 3 against the Miami Dolphins is raising some red flags. The Buffalo Bills are coming off an absolutely dominant win against the New York Jets in Week 2. That was exactly the kind of bounce-back performance fans needed to see after the Ravens punched this defense in the mouth during Week 1. The pass rush was relentless, the secondary held up strong, and Joey Bosa, who, let's be real, looked like the Joey Bosa we all hoped for when Buffalo made that big move, was everywhere. A forced fumble, a sack, constant pressure. That's the guy who changes games. But, as is so often the case in football, the high of victory is shadowed by the low of injuries. Head coach Sean McDermott met with the media on Monday, and the updates he gave, let's just say they were not what Bills fans were hoping to hear. Let's start with the biggest one, Matt Milano. Toward the end of the Jets game, Milano was seen on the sideline holding his helmet, clearly frustrated and concerned. Now, Bills Mafia knows this feeling all too well. Milano has been one of the heartbeat players of this defense, an all-pro caliber linebacker who sets the tone with his speed, his instincts, and his leadership. McDermott didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "He's one of our better players. We'll see where it goes. I feel bad for him. He works extremely hard." You can hear the disappointment in those words. And the reality is, Buffalo might be heading into a critical divisional game without him. And it's not just Milano. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver is still not trending toward a return in Week 3, which means the Bills could be without two cornerstone defensive playmakers when they line up against Miami. As if that wasn't enough, the Bills are also monitoring the health of Cam Lewis and Taron Johnson. Both guys have been battling injuries of their own, and their status for Thursday Night Football is up in the air. On the bright side, they did get back onto the field in a limited capacity, which at least gives some hope. Meanwhile, Jordan Hancock, who had been dealing with a shoulder issue, was a full participant, which is huge for depth. Shaq Thompson is another name to watch as he's managing both a hamstring and hand injury. Depth is being tested everywhere right now. If there's one thing we know about Sean McDermott's Bills, it's that they live and breathe the next man up philosophy. We saw it just this past weekend. Even without Oliver clogging up the middle, the defense still put together a dominant outing. But here's the reality. You can't replace Matt Milano with just one guy. It takes a group effort. Dorian Williams is a name you'll hear a lot this week. He flashed at times in camp, and now he could be asked to step into the spotlight. Don't be surprised if Joe Anderson also gets more run in certain packages. This is where depth and development come into play. The front office has built this roster knowing injuries are inevitable, but when you're heading into a short week against the Dolphins' speed-heavy offense, the timing could not be worse. Now let's set the stage. Thursday Night Football, Bills versus Dolphins, a divisional battle that always carries weight, but this time it feels even bigger. Buffalo can make a statement here, showing that last week's defensive dominance wasn't just a one-off against the Jets, but a real turning point. But to do that, they'll need players to step up in the absence of Milano and Oliver. The linebackers will be tested, the secondary has to hold against speed demons like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and the pass rush must remain relentless. And while all of this is happening in Buffalo, there's another story brewing that Bills fans can't ignore. Former first-round pick Kaiir Elam, remember, drafted 23rd overall in 2022 out of Florida, is already turning into a cautionary tale for the Dallas Cowboys. After 3 seasons of frustration in Buffalo, he was shipped off along with a 6th-round pick for a 5th and 7th rounder. The hope, for Dallas at least, was that a fresh start would unlock his potential. After a strong preseason, they thought he was ready to handle CB1-type responsibilities. 2 games in, and it's been ugly. Elam has surrendered a league-high 232 yards in coverage. Against Washington, he gave up a massive third-down conversion to Jahan Dotson. Against the Giants, it was rookie Malik Neighbors burning him for a 48-yard touchdown. It's tough to watch because fans always root for draft picks to pan out, but this is a reminder of how unpredictable the NFL can be. The Cowboys' entire secondary is struggling, sure, but Elam is right at the center of the storm. Bills fans predicted this, and it's exactly why Brandon Beane decided to move on. So what does all of this mean for the Bills right now? On one hand, the injury news is concerning. There's no way to sugarcoat losing two impact players like Milano and Oliver. But on the other hand, this is the NFL, and the teams that go deep in January are the ones who find ways to survive weeks like this. Buffalo has the culture, the depth, and the leadership to weather the storm. McDermott has preached resilience since day one, and this is yet another test of that mindset. As for Elam, it's a reminder that not every draft pick pans out. Not every player fits the scheme, and sometimes the best move for both sides is a fresh start. For the Bills, moving on means clearing up resources to continue building a defense that does fit the vision. They say if you've got two quarterbacks, you really don't have one, but what about when you've got two kickers? That's exactly the situation your Buffalo Bills are in right now. Tyler Bass, the guy we've trusted for years, the guy with the big leg and the clutch factor, is rehabbing from a pelvic injury on injured reserve. And while he's out, in steps 41-year-old veteran Matt Prater. And folks, let me tell you, he's making this more than just a temporary story. This isn't just a one-week wonder tale. This isn't just a nice little side plot in week one. Prater has gone from an emergency call-up to a legitimate weapon. Think about this. Before the season even kicked off, the man was literally sitting at home thinking his NFL journey was over. Then, in a wild twist of fate, the Bills gave him the call, he caught a red-eye flight, and suddenly he was in uniform for the opener against the Baltimore Ravens. And what happened in that game? A fairy tale moment. Prater drilled the game-winning field goal in that dramatic comeback victory, instantly becoming a folk hero in Buffalo. But here's the thing. In Week 2 against the Jets, he proved it wasn't a fluke. 3 field goals, 3 extra points, including a bomb from 52 yards out. All perfect. And it wasn't just the points. His kickoffs? A hidden weapon. 5 of 7 landed deep, forcing the Jets to start drives near their own goal line. That kind of field position is gold for a defense that was swarming all night. So now the question has to be asked. What do the Bills do when Bass is healthy? Coach Sean McDermott was careful with his words last week. On one hand, he said, Prater is the guy for the foreseeable future. On the other, he made sure to remind everyone, Tyler is our guy. And that's true. Bass is just 28, he's in the prime of his career, and the front office invested in him with a 4-year, $20.4 million contract. He's been one of the most reliable kickers in the league. But on the other sideline, you've got a legend, a man who's been kicking in the NFL since Josh Allen was in middle school. And right now, he's perfect. Bills Mafia, you know this franchise. You know how Brandon Beane and McDermott think. They value stability, loyalty, and long-term vision. But they also stress competition. They don't just hand jobs to anybody. You've got to earn it. And right now, Matt Prater is making them think long and hard about this decision. Let's also zoom out for a second and look at the NFL landscape. Just this past Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants because their kicker nailed a 64-yarder to force overtime. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs, our biggest rivals, lost to the Philadelphia Eagles by 3 points after missing a crucial field goal. Special teams matter. Kickers decide games. And in Buffalo, where so many of our seasons have come down to 1 or 2 possessions against Kansas City, Cincinnati, or whoever we're facing in January, you better believe the margin between a Super Bowl and heartbreak could be the leg of a kicker. Here's the thing. Bass is the future, no doubt about it. He's under contract, he's younger, and he's already proven himself in big moments. But what do you do when the replacement is lights out? When he's not just filling a gap, but actually becoming one of the reasons you're 2-0. Think about it. Prater's kickoffs pinning opponents deep, his experience under pressure, his accuracy so far. That's exactly what you want in January football. If you've been watching the AFC the last couple of years, you know the margins are razor thin.
Against Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, you don't just need touchdowns, you need points every chance you get. You need a kicker who doesn't blink in the cold, in the wind, in the snow. So maybe the real question isn't Bass or Prater. Maybe the real question is how long do you ride the hot hand or hot foot until you have to make the call? We've seen this movie before with the Bills. Remember when they had veterans holding down spots only to see a young star waiting in the wings? Or vice versa, when they gave a veteran a chance and he ended up stabilizing a unit. The front office and coaching staff have to find the balance between respecting Bass's place as the long-term solution while also rewarding Prater for what he's doing right now. And let's not ignore the human element here. Tyler Bass is a competitor. He's been through playoff battles with this team. He's drilled big kicks in hostile environments. He's fought through adversity before. But now, for maybe the first time in his career, he's got a little pressure on him. And sometimes, competition brings out the best in players. Maybe this pushes Bass to come back stronger, sharper, and more reliable than ever. Meanwhile, Prater knows the score. He's not here to take over the job for the next 4 years. He's here for the moment, for this season, maybe for the playoff run. He's 41. He's the oldest player in franchise history. He's likely going to retire to Arizona when this ride is over. But while he's here, he's giving the Bills exactly what they need. Confidence that no matter what happens, they've got a guy who can put points on the board. So, here we are, Bills Mafia, a kicker controversy that nobody saw coming, but one that could absolutely shape this season. The Bills are 2-0, the defense is showing signs of dominance, Josh Allen is leading with grit, and now the kicking game, something that has haunted Buffalo in the past, suddenly looks like a strength. But who do you trust when it matters most? Do you go back to Bass, the long-term franchise kicker with the big contract? Or do you ride the hot leg of Matt Prater, the legend who might just be writing one final fairy tale? That's the question we're going to be debating all week, and probably beyond. But one thing's for sure, if the Bills are really serious about perfecting every piece of this roster, this decision isn't going to be taken lightly. Bills Mafia, here's the bottom line. This Week 3 matchup against Miami is going to test everything about this team's depth, resilience, and identity. Can the defense hold without Milano and Oliver? Can young guys step up under the primetime lights? And will the offense, led by Josh Allen, do enough to carry the load if the defense bends more than usual? This is why we watch. This is why we ride with this team through every high and every low. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Bills can overcome these injuries and still take down Miami on Thursday night? And what are your thoughts on Kaiir Elam's struggles in Dallas? Are you relieved he's gone here in Buffalo, or do you still think he could have been salvaged here? Drop your takes in the comments below, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an exclusive update. This is just the beginning, Bills Mafia. The grind continues, and the journey to the Super Bowl is always paved with challenges like this. Go Bills!